Hey guys, it's Matt from Lakers Fan Club UK. I'm here at the Lakers practice facility in El Segundo, and I'm here with Nick Lagios. Do you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. Yeah, my name's Nick. I work for South Bay Lakers, where I'm director of basketball, and I'm a basketball development coordinator for the LA Lakers.
Okay. Thank you for taking the time to speak to us. It should be a really interesting listen to our followers. Some of them have sent in some of the questions that we have.
Awesome.
So, let's see where we go, and we'll take it from there, okay?
Perfect.
So, I have a few questions written down. So, what do you make of the South Bay Lakers season so far? I mean, currently they're 11-21. There's a lot of hope going into the season with a stacked roster. How do you think it's panned out?
It's the G League's just unique in that there's wins and losses, but you also get call-ups. So where we're struggling with wins and losses because of a variety of reasons, we're doing well with our call-ups. I think we lead the league with 3 call-ups this year. Devontae Kaycock, Gary Payton, and now Zach Norvell, who got a call-up a couple days ago.
Okay.
So our guys are leaving South Bay, which is good, but wins and losses, we've struggled. We've had, I think, 3 season-ending injuries, and with a roster of 10, I think we might have 4 season-ending injuries this season. So 4 to 10 is just hard to win because there's a couple games where we had 6, 7 players healthy. So that's really been a struggle. Like Travis Ware is out, Andre Ingram's out, Talon was hurt for a while, Devontae Kaycock was hurt for a while, David Stockton, Demetrius Jackson. I mean, it's like our entire core has got hurt. So that's not the only reason why we're struggling, but that's been a big part of our struggles this year.
Okay. And just quickly going on to like the G League, obviously it's had a bit of a redevelopment in previous years, and seems to be in a little bit of a surge, doesn't it, at the moment? But what do you think of the G League getting bigger? Do you think it's more prominent in the development of players getting into the NBA, or do you think it kind of stands its own as being a strong league? There's been talks of it being like the middle ground of players maybe not going to college but going into the G League. What are kind of your thoughts on the G League as a whole?
Yeah, so this is my I've done this 4.5 seasons now, so I've seen the G League really evolve. When I first started, there were some assignment players. I think on a normal game there'd be like 1 or 2 max. Now you have assignment players and you have 2-way contracts, which have been going on. This is the 3rd year, I think. So now that there's legit and more NBA contracts actually in the game, if you're a G League contract player and doing well, then you're an NBA player. Before it was kind of a mystery. It's like, oh, but he's just doing well in the G League, like it doesn't matter. Now that these players are doing well against actual NBA contracts, like assignment players in 2 ways, which are NBA contracts, I think it's just helped make those players gain a little more respect. So it's grown into a much better league in the 4 years I've seen, and I don't know what will happen in the future with high school players, if they'll come to the G League or anything like that, but I just know the talent level has grown exponentially since I've been here.
Definitely, yeah. And the questions that we've got here are kind of mixed up from a few guys in the group chat, a few followers of Lakers Fan Club UK, so kind of just going to work through them. It's kind of links to the first question that I asked you. As the South Bay Lakers, do you feel like a responsibility to develop players for the Lakers, or do you kind of focus on winning yourself? Like, how do you kind of find a balance there, or is it a bit of both?
It's a bit of both, and that's the tricky part. I think being a head coach in the G League is one of the most difficult head coaching jobs there is, and because they have egos in the NBA, obviously, but to think there isn't egos in the G League is crazy. So there's still going to be some egos, and if a player isn't playing much in the G League, they're not being paid a ton of money, so there's a lot of pressure that the coach gets. And on top of that, the coach also has to develop the players, so there's all these weird factors that they have to deal with. But I think you want the players, you want them to get out of South Bay, you want them to move on and have awesome careers. So you do want to develop, Talon Horton-Tucker and your 2 ways, Alex Caruso type players, but you also want to develop the G League contracts. And like Zach Norvell is an awesome example. Gary Payton, they both got called up by other teams, and it's not good for South Bay, but we're happy about it.
Okay, and we'll get on to some of them players shortly. But in terms of players that come into the G League, whether they're young players or whether they're just NBA hopefuls, like Gary Payton, the second, I think it's like 27, so a bit older. what like advice would you give to them coming into into the G League and then kind of having eyes on the NBA? Is there kind of like a process that they have to trust? Do they have to be patient? Because I suppose a lot of them may come in with a bit of an ego, thinking that they may be a bit above it and they're NBA bound, but they're not. They have to kind of prove themselves and work. So what advice would you give to a player?
Yeah, I think sticking to your role, because in the G League they may be an above average or like an all-star. They might be one of the best players on their team, but once they get to the NBA, they're not going to be that player. They're going to do their role and they're going to do it well. So I think we had Travis Ware his first year, and I think he was kind of hunting. He was trying to hunt for his shot. He was trying to score 20 points, and so his efficiency dropped. And I think what he learned his second year is I just need to play how I'm going to be in the NBA, and I'm going to be a spot shooter. And when I'm open, I'm going to shoot, but I'm not going to force anything. And he was eventually called up, and he finished the season with the Lakers. So I think it's as easy as sticking to your role. If you're not a scorer in the NBA, if that's just not who you're going to be, then you shouldn't try and be it in the G League, because even if you do score 25 points a game, you probably are not going to be that efficient if you're not a natural scorer. So I really think it's just sticking to your role and doing your role well.
Okay, and in terms of some of the players that, especially Laker fans have their eyes on, the players on two-way deals.
Yeah.
Obviously, there's Horton Tucker as well that you've mentioned. We'll kind of take it through the order of Kostas Antetokounmpo, Devontae Kaycock, and then Horton Tucker.
Yeah.
How have they all been developing? Have they been doing well? Because obviously some of the guys watching may loosely have a bit of an interest in South Bay, but may not be following as strictly as they have been the Lakers.
Yep.
So how have they all been doing? Have they been doing well?
Yep. So Kostas, all three of them have grown greatly this year. Since we have been shorthanded, they've had to do a lot. So that's the one benefit with having only 7-8 players on a given night. Kostas has grown enormously. He's still tall, so he hasn't grown that way, but he's looked really good. He's defensively a beast and real strong around the rim. Devontae Kaycock, he was out for I think 3 or 4 weeks with a foot injury, but he's back now. But his second game back, he was 15 for 16. I mean, he is. I was at the showcase just watching everybody, and I'm pretty sure Kaycock's one of the best players here. I mean, I think his ceilings, I think it's pretty big. So we'll see if he gets time with the Lakers this year, or if that's next year. Obviously, I have a lot of big men with the LA Lakers, but I do think when he gets his chance, he's going to be pretty special. And then Talen Horton-Tucker, he's, I think, the youngest NBA contract in the entire NBA. He spent almost all of this season with South Bay, and since we have been shorthanded, he's had to. I'm still trying to figure out what position he'll be in the NBA, but I think he'll be like a shooting guard, small forward. But he's been playing a lot of point with us too, and he's like a playmaking guard. I guess that's the best way of putting it.
Yeah.
But he's grown enormously. Defensively, he's going to be good. He just kind of gets in passing lane, gets a lot of deflections. He's just I don't know what his equivalent is in the NBA, but I'll figure that one out. But I think he's going to be good. Yeah,
because I think with Horton Tucker, when I've done a few articles on him, done a little bit of research, obviously I think he's quite short, 6'4" in terms of NBA height, that is.
Yeah.
And then I think he has over maybe 7'2" wingspan.
Yeah.
And then I think his hands, I saw somewhere the same size as Kawhi Leonard or something.
Yeah.
What did you think when you first saw him then? Because obviously appearances, I think, maybe quite deceiving with Horton Tucker. And I think a lot of people were a bit unsure of how it'd be. He kind of looks. People thought he was maybe a bit overweight, things like that. What was kind of your first impressions when you saw him?
Well, I saw a film of him at Iowa State, and it's just hard with college versus NBA. College basketball is coaches league, essentially. The coaches run everything. NBA, G League, it's kind of like the players. So you put it in the player's hand, you tell them what to do, but you don't have a strict system. Where in college, you look at Kuzma with Utah or Horton Tucker with Iowa State, they're kind of restricted in what they can and can't do. Mm-hmm. So I think now so when I was watching film, I kind of struggle. I'm I see physically what he can be, and there was flashes of what he can be, but he wasn't allowed to do everything that he can now do with the Lakers, same as Kuzma. So, but he grew on me big time. And he also hurt his foot, so he's out until like just the start of the season. But that's the hard part of scouting college versus NBA is sometimes you can't really see what these guys are capable of. But fortunately, our scouts did, and I think he's going to be a really good player.
Okay. And in terms of them players, and in the last 4 years, you've seen a lot of players come through. In the G League, there's quite a high turnover rate, it seems, in terms of players. But this is one of the questions that we've got from one of the guys in the group chat. And it says, what is the most singular, most translatable trait that you look for in a G League player that will translate to the NBA level?
I think I go back to just doing their role well. So they won't always get the players I do well in the G League. They won't always have the best stats, but they will just stay focused on their role, and they'll not get frustrated with being in the G League. That's a big struggle that a lot of NBA players will go through if they are assigned. They'll kind of maybe think that it's like a punishment and the team doesn't care about them, but I think it's the players that focus on getting better and sticking to their role, because a lot of guys, when they get assigned, just try and do way too much, and then you're getting into bad habits because you want to play in the G League, how you're going to play in the NBA. So if you come down here and try and be like Michael Jordan, you might be able to do it, but that's not going to be who you'll be with the Lakers. So when you get called up to Lakers, you can't be Michael Jordan. You can't do everything. So I think it's guys just focusing on their role and believing the coaching staff that they should just be the player that they'll be in the NBA.
Yeah, so it sounds like it's not necessarily physical traits, but more like mental, attitude, things like that, kind of trust in the process.
Absolutely.
Sounds like that's the most important thing there. I have to ask you about Alex Caruso.
Yeah.
Are you the singular reason why he's so good? Can we put his success down to just you? Or?
It's a team effort, but like Nick Mazzella, Joey Buss, myself, we all liked him when he was with Oklahoma City Blue, because we had Josh Majette, who was also he was probably the best point guard in the league at that point, and then he's probably still now the best point guard in the G League, Josh Majette. But he locked him up pretty well, and we're like, we didn't really know much about Caruso, and we were watching the playoffs. They were against Santa Cruz, and he had an unbelievable block. I'm like, I don't know who this guy is, but we got to keep a closer look. But fortunately, we were able to sign him to a two-way contract for 2 years, and but that's the type of player where I think he sometimes is better with the Lakers than he was with the South Bay Lakers, because with the South Bay Lakers, he was our best player, but he's not really the guy where he wants to be. He shouldn't really be your number one scoring option. He can do it, and he was still good. I think we're like one of the best teams in the league with him and Thomas Bryant. But once he can get to the Lakers and stick to his role player type of position, he is clearly one of the best in the NBA at that.
Yeah, because we had Misha on the podcast not long ago. This is Misha, who works in strength and conditioning at South Bay. And he was saying that a lot of the coaches down at the G League level just kind of were urging the Lakers, that were involved in South Bay, were just urging the Lakers to just kind of take their time. Like maybe his looks might be deceiving. I think he had a bit of a streaky start when he first came to the Lakers. It didn't exactly happen overnight. But he does all the small things. And Laker fans certainly appreciate that.
Yeah.
And it seems that whether it's like deflections or kind of taking charges, things like that, he's just willing to, again, down to attitude, accepting his role. What would where do you think he goes from here? Do you think, so at the moment he's very much kind of like a solid role player. Do you think he can, in terms of the Lakers or the NBA, do you think he can become a starter? Do you think his development can push even further? Because he's still relatively young, isn't he?
Yeah, he's still, I think he's 25 or 26, so he's still young, and he keeps getting better, which is big. I think that's another trait for guys who do well in the G League. There's players who kind of max out at a certain level, and there's players that continually to get better, and Caruso obviously continued to get better. I think he averaged like maybe 10 points a game his first year, up to like 18, and then, that was that, but then he was off to the Lakers. But I think in terms of being a starter, I think absolutely could be, but the NBA is, each team will have a couple stars, 1 or 2 stars, but after that, it's really, you have role players. So even if you're an elite role player, you can still be an absolute legend in the game. So, whether he grows into a starter or not, I just think if he keeps doing his role as best as he can do, then can be a big name for Lakers or in basketball in general.
Yeah, definitely. With the Lakers, what are your thoughts on the season so far? Obviously, it's been a very, very good start. The playoffs are a lock. First time in practically 10 years.
Yeah.
But a lot of people think that they could go all the way. They could have a very successful season, and it's kind of started that way. So what are your thoughts on the season so far?
Yeah, it's been awesome. When we traded for Anthony Davis, I knew we were going to improve, but I didn't think we would shoot to the 1 seed, and I think we have a couple game lead on that as well.
Yeah.
So I didn't expect that to happen. So obviously we knew Anthony Davis, LeBron were going to be good, but roster spot 3 through 17, the two ways, have done a amazing job as well, and everyone's bought in. It's sometimes you get these really good teams where your top 5 or 6 are happy and like it's all good, and then 7 through the end of the bench, guys are upset with their playing time. But I think when we do have those injuries, the guys can fill in and they do an awesome job. So we had a couple games, we dropped like 4 in a row and like 3 in a row, but outside of that, it's like we've had an unbelievable season so far. So hopefully we can just stay healthy, and it's going to be an exciting finish for the NBA.
Yeah, definitely. That's all the questions I have, and we'll let Nick go because it is game day. We're here for the Memphis Hustle game in the practice facility shortly. I would also whilst we're on camera, like to say thank you. Thank you for just opening your arms and welcoming us into like the Lakers family.
Yep.
Being in the UK, especially a kid growing up with the Lakers, and then having the opportunity to come here, and for Tina as well, who's behind the camera, we would just like to say thank you on camera. It is very much appreciated, and to the guys watching and listening, all the content we get is because of this man, so thank him as well. So yeah, thank you.
No problem. Glad you guys can make it. And I grew up, maybe not cheering for the Lakers, but I never thought I would be here, and it's truly a dream. So yeah, I'm glad that we were able to connect, and certainly we'll stay in touch, but hopefully we can do this more.
Yeah, no, definitely. Well, we'll let you go. Thanks for joining us, and yeah, hopefully we'll get a bit more content on the channel from today's game. So do stay tuned. Okay, thanks for watching and listening, guys.
See ya.